Every night she prayed for a different life until she discovered the truth hiding behind perfect pictures. A Christian story about contentment, envy, and finding peace in God. The rain tapped gently against the bedroom window as 16-year-old Clara lay awake staring at the ceiling. Her phone screen glowed brightly in the dark room. Perfect vacations, perfect outfits, perfect homes, perfect lives. Every scroll made her feel worse. Girls her age posed beside luxury cars while she sat beneath a leaking ceiling her father still hadn't been able to repair. Someone posted photos from Paris. Another showed off a massive birthday party. Meanwhile, Clara shared a bedroom wall so thin she could hear her mother coughing downstairs after late night shifts at the diner. She locked her phone and sighed deeply. "Why does everyone else get more?" she whispered. Her eyes wandered towards the small wooden cross hanging above her desk. Her grandmother had given it to her years ago. Under it was a handwritten Bible verse, Philippians 4:11. "I have learned to be content whatever the circumstances." Clara rolled her eyes slightly. Easy for the Apostle Paul to say. The next morning, Maple Street buzzed with life. Children rode bikes through puddles. Neighbors waved from porches. Someone played gospel music from an old radio nearby. Clara barely noticed any of it. All she could think about was Madison Blake. Madison was rich, beautiful, popular. At school, everyone gathered around her locker, laughing loudly, while Clara quietly shoved books into her worn backpack. "Did you see Madison's birthday invitation?" someone squealed. "They rented a live DJ. My mom said their house has an indoor theater." Clara forced a smile, while jealousy twisted inside her chest. At lunch, her best friend Jasmine sat beside her. "You okay?" "I'm fine." "No, you're not." Clara sighed. "I'm just tired of being average." Jasmine frowned. "There's nothing wrong with your life." Clara laughed bitterly. "That's because you're used to it." That evening, Clara returned home irritated. The kitchen smelled like garlic bread and tomato sauce. Her father stood at the stove humming an old worship song while stirring pasta sauce. "Hey, pumpkin," he smiled. "Dinner's almost ready." Clara dropped her bag. "Again?" Her mother looked up from the table. "What's wrong with spaghetti?" "Nothing," Clara muttered. "It's just always the same." Her father exchanged a glance with her mother. "We are doing our best, sweetheart." Clara instantly regretted her tone, but pride kept her silent. During dinner, her father reached for everyone's hands. "Let's thank God." Clara reluctantly joined. "Lord," her father prayed gently, "thank you for providing for us again today. Thank you for this home, this food, and each other." Clara stared at the table. She wished she felt thankful, but mostly she felt trapped. Saturday finally arrived. Madison's birthday party. The Blake mansion looked unreal. Huge marble stairs, crystal chandeliers, expensive cars lined the driveway. Clara's jaw nearly dropped. "This is insane," she whispered. Inside, servers carried sparkling drinks while music echoed throughout the house. Teenagers danced under glowing lights. For a moment, Clara imagined herself living there. No overdue bills, no tiny kitchen, no stress. She wandered upstairs, looking around in amazement. Then suddenly, shouting. A man's angry voice thundered from behind a closed door. "You embarrassed me tonight." Another voice cried back. Clara froze. Then the door burst open. Madison hurried out, wiping tears from her face. She nearly collided with Clara. Madison quickly looked away. "You heard that?" Clara nodded awkwardly. Madison forced a smile. "Welcome to paradise." Then she walked away. Clara stood frozen. Something about Madison's expression unsettled her. It wasn't sadness, it was exhaustion. Monday morning, Madison did not come to school. Rumors spread quickly. Her father was under investigation for fraud. Her parents were separating. Some students mocked her online. Others pretended not to notice. But 3 days later, Clara saw Madison sitting alone at the park in the rain. Without thinking, Clara approached her. "You okay?" Madison laughed weakly. "Does it look like it?" Clara sat beside her beneath the shelter. For a while, neither spoke. Then Madison whispered, "You know what's funny?" "What?" "I used to envy you." Clara blinked. "Me?" Madison nodded slowly. "Your family actually loves being around each other." Clara stayed silent. "My dad buys expensive gifts because he doesn't know how to love people." Her voice cracked. "We have money, but nobody's happy." The rain poured harder outside. Madison stared ahead blankly. "You know the crazy part?" "What?" "I'd trade every designer bag I own just to have one peaceful dinner with my parents." Clara swallowed hard. For the first time, she saw her own life differently. Weeks later, disaster struck Maple Street. A house caught fire in the middle of the night. People screamed as flames spread rapidly. Clara's father ran outside immediately. "Call emergency services," he shouted. Without hesitation, he rushed into the burning home after hearing an elderly man was trapped inside. Clara's heart pounded violently. Minutes passed. Then finally, her father emerged, carrying the old man safely outside. Neighbors cried with relief. That night, the community gathered together despite the chaos. Families brought blankets, food, water. Even those with little shared what they had. Clara looked around quietly. No one here was rich, yet somehow there was love everywhere. An elderly woman hugged Clara tightly. "Your father is a good man." Clara glanced toward her exhausted father sitting on the curb, helping others. Suddenly, tears filled her eyes. For years, she had focused on what her family lacked. But maybe she had ignored what they possessed. A month later, Clara's father collapsed from exhaustion at work. Doctors warned he needed rest immediately. Medical bills piled up quickly. Clara overheard her mother crying quietly one night while staring at unpaid notices. Fear gripped Clara's heart. Not fear of being poor, fear of losing someone she loved. That night, she sat alone in her bedroom, staring again at the wooden cross on her wall. For the first time in months, she prayed honestly. God, I am sorry. Tears rolled down her face. I've spent so much time complaining. She looked around her tiny room. The squeaky fan, the old curtains, the cracked paint. And suddenly, it felt precious because it was home. The next Sunday, Clara attended church with her family. The pastor spoke about comparison. Envy convinces us that God has been unfair to us, he said gently, but comparison blinds us to the blessings already sitting in our hands. The room fell silent. Then he read, Ecclesiastes 4 verse 6. Better one handful with tranquility than 2 handfuls with toil and chasing after the wind. Clara felt the words deeply. Chasing after the wind. That was exactly what she had been doing. Always wanting more, always looking elsewhere, always believing happiness existed in somebody else's life. But peace had been sitting at her own dinner table all along. Over time, Clara changed, not overnight, but slowly. She stopped obsessing over social media. She started helping her mother more. She laughed more during dinner. She even thanked her father for the small things he did every day. One evening, while washing dishes, her father smiled. "You seem lighter lately." Clara smiled softly. "I think I finally realized something." "What's that?" "We were never poor." Her father looked surprised. Clara glanced around the small kitchen warmly. "We just weren't rich in the way the world measures it." Months later, Madison visited Maple Street for the first time. Her family had lost nearly everything. The mansion was gone. Most of her old friends disappeared too. But strangely, Madison seemed more peaceful than before. Clara introduced her to neighbors. Kids played soccer in the streets while music drifted through the evening air. Madison smiled quietly. "This place feels alive," Clara laughed. "It always was. I just couldn't see it before." Later that night, Madison admitted something. "When I had everything, I still felt empty." She looked around the small neighborhood warmly. "But this," she smiled softly, "this feels real." Years later, Clara became an artist. One of her most famous paintings was called Maple Street at Sunset. It showed tiny homes glowing warmly beneath golden evening light. When reporters asked why she painted ordinary neighborhoods so often, Clara always answered the same way. because ordinary blessings are still blessings. Then she would smile and add, some people spend their whole lives chasing bigger houses while failing to notice the love inside the homes they already have. Maybe you've spent a long time looking at other people's lives, wondering why yours seems smaller. Maybe you've compared your family, your appearance, your finances, or your situation to everyone around you. But remember this, God does not measure your worth by what you own. Some of the wealthiest people are deeply unhappy, and some of the happiest people have very little. Contentment doesn't mean you never dream bigger. It means you trust God enough to remain grateful while you wait. Because peace is not found in having everything. Peace is found in knowing God is enough. Beloved, if you've been blessed by today's story, do like and subscribe, and also share to encourage someone today. God bless you.